Greetings and salutations, and welcome to the Red Flags Only podcast, where we dive into subjects that you thought you understood, but may have missed some signs along the way. I am your host, Dion Royal, and welcome to part 2 of our financial literacy series, financial literacy for people that don't like to read. I hope that you all caught the previous episode about calculating your personal net worth. And for those of you that didn't jump out of a window after figuring it all out, welcome back. Today, I would like to talk to you about the basics of a 75-15-10 budgeting plan. Now that we know what our net worth is, and we really know that we want it to be higher than what it currently is, we can begin to budget and plan for the future. The 75-15-10 budgeting plan is a simple way to manage your money by dividing your income into 3 distinctive key categories. The first category is 75, and that means 75% of your net pay goes to essentials. That's needs and living expenses. This chunk covers everything you need to live, including rent, mortgage, your utilities, light, gas, water, internet, Netflix, groceries and food, transportation. That means gas for your car payment, insurance, public transit. And of course your insurance, your health insurance, car insurance, home insurance, renter insurance, whatever that might be. The 15 stands for 15% of your net pay is going towards investing and savings. This portion is for future financial security. That includes retirement accounts, 401k, IRA, stocks, bonds, real estate, other investments, and our emergency fund. You should have 3 to 6 months of expenses, and that means 3 to 6 months of your 75% put away for a rainy day or in case something happens. And then you have that last 10%, which is fun, wants, and giving. This is your guilt-free money for enjoying life. That's entertainment, movies, hobbies, dining out, travel, shopping, personal spending. You got a shoe habit, a video game habit, and some of us are really generous people. We like to give to charity and donate money to good causes. So that would cover that 10%. Some people like to flip that 10% around and include their fun, wants, and giving in their essentials, and then have 15% for savings and 10% for investing, or vice versa. It just depends on where you are in your journey, how much disposable income you have to use. Now, remember in the last video, we talked about what your income was and where it fit within your net worth. Your income is what's used to fuel your dreams of financial security. Some people play with that. Like I said, some people play with that 15 and 10 numbers, because depending on what they are saving or investment strategy is, they may have more capital to invest, or they may want to play it safe and save at a less volatile, more consistent rate. It just depends on the person. For example, though, you may decide that you want to go all in on cryptocurrency and forego your fun, wants, and giving for a few years early on. You may structure your budgeting plan as follows: 75% essentials, 15% savings, and 10% investment, or vice versa. The 75% for essentials will always basically remain the same. Those bills is the thing you need to live. You gotta have somewhere to live. You need food to eat, clothes on your back, and a way to move back and forth to your job. And with the way, and to be honest, with the way inflation is currently working, 80% for essentials is not out of the realm of possibility. Now, why should we use the 75-15 budget? It's simple and flexible. It's easy to follow, no complicated tracking, not a lot of stuff you gotta deal with. You kind of know what it is at the beginning of the month, or every pay period, whatever that might be. It balances your living and investing. It covers your needs while growing wealth, and it encourages smart spending. Prioritizes stability while allowing for a little bit of fun. I did the net worth exercise with my nephews, and they got mad because they felt like I lowballed them because they was able to find some better prices online for estimates on their game consoles and a couple of thrifting items that they found that, had a little more value than I expected, And the little dudes, they proud that they have, somewhere around a $2,500 net worth. And they currently thinking now, I think this whole process that got them in the mind state to kind of think of how they can, get their master plan working for, to get to the millions. But, of course, we started off positive with all the pertinent information that's needed to get us moving. But we do have to address a few nuances in the game. I'll start with the parents because, in my opinion, the parents, we have the power to make or break these young people now and into the future. So I want to say something. I don't want you to get mad at me, parents, but dear parents, please, please, please stop putting your kids out at 18. Stop charging them rent. And please, for the love of God, stop calculating their earnings into how you gonna clear your monthly bills and overhead charges that you got yourself into as an adult, as a big grown person. I know you might need help. I know you might even feel like they owe you, which is kind of despicable and self-centered in and of itself. But and I also know that you have created, you might have created a reality of scarcity for yourself and your children at this present time based on your own decisions. But in order for your offspring to have a fighting chance in this world, you're going to have to get out your feelings, get out their pockets, and create an environment where they can get the most out of the jobs and the talents that they have and the jobs that they work. I mean, it's just that simple. It was a time when kids got a summer job to buy school clothes or save for their first car. And now parents are assigning their kids a bill and another sibling to be responsible for as soon as they get their little Popeyes drive-through job, which really only hinders their progress in the long term. Unfortunately, when we aren't financially literate as adults, we become dependent on them little twos and fews that our children contribute as opposed to helping them build for their future and assisting them with getting a head start. Our young people are mired in what looks like a no-win situation that's really created by the foolishness of their own parents. This is where young people end up doing stuff like getting pregnant or procreating with somebody that isn't ready, because at the point they have children, they have an understanding that they are adults now and they got to get it on their own. And y'all got to respect them as adults with their own families to prioritize. And what's so sad about that in a real way is that they will gladly trade having to be up under a repressive rule and a destructive environment to struggle raising a baby on their own because they see it as the better alternative than living with you. Remember, you ain't done nothing impressive. Them kids live in the hood. They see abject poverty on a daily basis. Many of them don't know their fathers. They watch you and how you get down their entire lives, even though they can't say much out of respect. We all know what they thinking. I can't wait to get as far away from here as I can, as soon as I can. Take that however you want it, family. If it ain't you, I'm willing to bet you know some parents like this. Matter of fact, some of us are related to them. There is a strategy that we currently employ with all of our children in my household. It is optional, not mandatory, but it has a proven record of success within our family. I won't pretend that everyone's circumstances are the same, but the principles of this method are applicable across multiple levels of people, regardless of their financial situation. This simply requires the parents to do what parents should always be prepared to do: sacrifice. The rule in our household is that if you get a job while in high school or living at home with us, you are not required to pay anything into the monthly bills of the house. You got your cell phone bill. And if you want special items or you have a certain preference, you're responsible for those things. For example, if you decide to become a vegan, you got to buy your own veggie bacon. I mean, we've been eating pork over here. Yeah, if you want to start using Game Pods instead of Tide Pods, you got to foot that bill because we use Tide Pods. But I mean, outside of that, as long for us, as long as we been providing for this household, our responsibility as parents will always be to provide for this household as the big adults in the situation. But in being in a situation where you have little to no overhead costs, the expectation is that you save at least 80% of your money. Now, if you feel like you want to contribute a little something in now and then, you feel free. I ain't going to turn down nothing but my collar. But your responsibility is to save that 80%. The next requirement is twofold, and that is not to move out of the house until you've saved at least $25K outside of moving expenses and you have a 720 credit score. This will prevent you from having to return home immediately or turn to OnlyFans if something goes wrong. Now, this also prevents you from being trapped in a dead-end job, being dependent upon a boyfriend or a girlfriend, or have to take unfulfilling work because you got to pay the bills. Now, I know I lost a lot of you when I started talking about teenage and adult children not paying bills at the house. Now, I didn't say they could stay forever, and I didn't say they were 40 years old. What I envisioned for my kids was them not having to go through the BS I went through, because I learned from the mistakes of those that came before me, and I learned from my own mistakes. I knew that I could give them a financial head start in life if I just made a couple of sacrifices on the front end. Now, all my adult children have 700 credit scores, 5-figure bank accounts, and growing, financial freedom because, we made some sacrifices. They still make me pay when we go out to eat. But I take solace in knowing that they're going to be straight because we created an environment where it's possible for them to take us out every now and then. We made sure that they wasn't saddled with student loan and credit card debt. We stressed the importance of patience and not buying things unless you could afford 3 of them. We allowed them to make mistakes, learn, and grow, but we did not become a hindrance to them, and that's why they love us the way they do. Now, speaking to you young folks, you have to understand that nobody wants to see you do well more than yourself. With that understanding, you have to believe that your parents want the best for you. They just might not have the experience, wisdom, or understanding to help you on this part of your journey. That's where your belief in the universal creator and the prayers of the righteous are going to be challenged the most. But know and understand this. All things work together for the good of those who believe. Here are some tips for you to get a better understanding on how to implement your 75-15-10 budgeting plan. Now, make sure that when you are constructing your budget that you do not calculate from your gross pay, which is usually the big number on the top line of your check, and calculate your net pay, which is the significantly smaller line, smaller number at the bottom line. Also, if you are under 26 years old and you are on your parents' insurance, that is an expense that you do not have to undertake right now. But if you are not on your parents' insurance or you are over the age of 26, make sure that you have medical insurance through your job, because one of the single easiest ways to destroy your finances is to be on the hook for an enormous medical bill. Also, make sure that you enroll in your job's 401k and take advantage of any matching contributions that your job makes. Please take the maximum amount that they will match, as this effectively doubles your contribution into the plan, and it sets you up to have a little bit more money and a little bit more freedom as you move on down the line. I was one of them young fools that didn't enroll in my early 20s. That poor decision cost me several $1,000s over the course of my career. And if you live at home with your parents, it may make sense to contribute 5 to 10% more into your life insurance, because there are some amazing things you could do with whole life insurance policies. The following breakdown would be how long it would take to save $25K living at home with your parents under this system, making $15 an hour, working 32 hours a week. on the 75-15-10 budget plan, as well as how long it would take under those same circumstances if you were living on your own. Now, if you made 15 bucks an hour living on your own, working at 32 hours a week on a 75-15-10 plan, you would be saving $64.80 per week, and it would take you 7.42 years to save $25,000. Now, under those same circumstances, living at home with your parents, you will be able to save that same $25,000 in 1.39 years. It is imperative, guys, that we put our children on the second trajectory as opposed to the first. Because we all know once we get out here and we ain't prepared, we'll be fighting uphill for the next 10 years. And we better hope there's no major illnesses, injuries, or work disruptions. Those are the things that will have you in perpetual poverty. When we get to the point where we understand this and quit making everything about us and what we didn't have, how we couldn't do it, or what didn't work out for us, we'll start to create an environment where our kids are not just surviving, but living their best life and not having to compromise their morals, values, and character just to barely make it. As parents, we have some work to do if we want our offspring to be successful and for us to get money as a family. Remember that the theme is to get money as a family. Now remember, it only takes one person to sacrifice to create a reality in which the family is taken care of in perpetuity. You got to ask yourself a question. Will you be that one? Or are you waiting on that one? There's a really big difference, family. That's my 2 cents. Peace.